The camera opens on a smoky dawn over a military training base. The air is heavy with tension, the kind only fresh recruits feel when they're about to face their first real day under the unforgiving eyes of drill instructors. Boots strike the concrete, the echo bouncing between the long barracks. A line of young recruits, barely out of high school, most of them, stand shoulder to shoulder, shuffling nervously, waiting for instructions. Their uniforms are crisp, their eyes restless. They look like soldiers on the outside, but inside, they're still kids. And then, slowly, a figure steps into view. He is older, much older. His back is straight, but his face is carved with the lines of decades. His uniform hangs just a little looser on him, his hair long faded to gray. His boots are worn, not shiny, and one sleeve is rolled up to reveal an old, faded tattoo on his forearm. It isn't flashy, just a small emblem, almost invisible with time. At first, the recruits don't know what to make of him. Some exchange smirks, others chuckle under their breath. One of them whispers, "What's Grandpa doing here? Did he get lost?" Another adds, "Check out the tattoo, looks like he got it back in the Stone Age." Laughter ripples down the line. The old veteran doesn't react. His eyes are calm, steady, the kind of eyes that have seen too much to be disturbed by the snickers of boys who've never faced a battlefield. He simply adjusts his cap, stands among them without complaint, and waits. But the recruits keep laughing. They don't understand. Not yet. The day begins. The drill instructor storms out, barking orders. "Fall in. You think this is a summer camp? You think you're tough? We're about to find out." The recruits scramble into formation. The old veteran moves with them, slower but precise, every motion controlled. When they jog, he jogs. When they crawl under the barbed wire, he drops to the dirt with them, dragging himself forward with gritty determination. He doesn't complain, though his joints crack with every movement. The younger recruits push themselves hard, trying to outshine one another, but their laughter lingers. They glance at the old man struggling in the mud, whispering, "He's never gonna make it through the day." But there's something they don't notice. While they groan under the weight of heavy packs, the old veteran keeps his breathing steady. When they fumble with weapon assembly, he finishes in half the time, hands moving with memory and precision. And when one recruit stumbles and falls, cursing, the old man is the first to extend a hand, pulling him back on his feet without a word. Still, the jokes continue. The tattoo becomes their favorite target. One night in the barracks, a recruit points at it and says, "What's that supposed to be? Some biker club? Or did you just let a drunk sailor scribble on your arm?" The veteran doesn't explain. He just rolls down his sleeve and lies back on his bunk, eyes fixed on the ceiling. But inside, memories stir. That tattoo isn't just ink. It's a symbol. A secret emblem only a handful of men in history have carried. A brotherhood forged in shadows, in places where no cameras or journalists ever reached. And soon, everyone will know. The day of the inspection arrives. The recruits line up in perfect rows on the parade ground. Their boots shine, their uniforms are spotless, and every eye is fixed straight ahead. Today is no ordinary inspection. A visiting officer is arriving, a SEAL commander, decorated, feared, and respected. The recruits whisper his name like a legend. Stories of his missions, his medals, his ruthless training methods swirl among them. The commander steps onto the field. His presence is commanding, his gaze sharp as steel. He moves down the line, inspecting each recruit, pausing only to correct a detail here, bark a word there. Then he stops, in front of the old veteran. For the first time, the commander's eyes soften. His gaze falls on the faded tattoo. He freezes, as if the world itself has stopped turning. The recruits watch, confused. Some smirk, expecting the commander to ridicule the old man just as they had. But instead, something extraordinary happens. The commander straightens. Slowly, deliberately, he brings his hand up in a sharp salute. The recruits are stunned. They've never seen anything like it. This feared SEAL commander, who doesn't salute just anyone, stands at rigid attention before the gray-haired man they had mocked. The parade ground falls silent. Even the wind seems to stop. And then, in a voice loud enough for every soul present to hear, the commander says, "Welcome back, brother." The recruits glance at one another, wide-eyed. Their smirks vanish, replaced with confusion, then dawning realization. Who was this man? What did that tattoo mean? The commander turns to face the formation. Do you know who stands among you? That symbol on his arm is not a decoration. It is the mark of one of the most secret operations in naval history. A unit that went where no one else could go. Fought battles you'll never read about. Lost brothers whose names will never appear in books. He turns back to the old man, his voice heavy with respect. You carried that mark before I even earned mine. And without men like you, there wouldn't be a Navy SEAL program today. Gasps ripple through the recruits. The air is thick with shame and awe. The ones who had laughed now stand rigid, their faces burning. The old veteran finally speaks, his voice steady but soft. I didn't come here for recognition. I came to remind these young men that service isn't about glory. It's about sacrifice. It's about the man beside you, not the medals on your chest. He glances at the recruits, his eyes piercing. You laughed at me because you saw an old body and a faded tattoo. But one day, you'll understand. When you've carried a brother off the battlefield, when you've heard the last breath of a friend in your arms, when you've given every ounce of yourself for something greater than you, then you'll understand what this tattoo means. The silence is suffocating. Some recruits lower their eyes, ashamed. Others stare at him with newfound respect, their faces pale with realization. The commander breaks the silence. Gentlemen, you should be honored. You trained beside a legend. Learn from him. Listen to him. Because men like him don't come around often. And when they're gone forever. He salutes once more, and this time, the entire formation of recruits follows, their hands rising shakily, eyes filled with something new, respect. The days that follow are different. The laughter stops. The smirks vanish. The old veteran is no longer, Grandpa. Now, he is, Sir. The recruits listen when he speaks, they follow his lead, they ask him questions late into the night. And he shares, not war stories of glory, but lessons. Lessons about humility, about brotherhood, about what it means to serve. Some nights, he traces the tattoo on his arm quietly, remembering the faces of those who never made it home. And though his eyes sometimes glisten, he never lets them see him break. Because for him, that tattoo isn't just a memory. It's a promise that their sacrifice will never be forgotten. As the video draws to a close, the camera lingers on the faded tattoo. The voices of the recruits echo in the background, no longer mocking, but filled with reverence. And then the narrator's voice cuts through, steady and emotional. Respect isn't written on the uniform. It isn't carved into medals. It lives in the stories, the scars, and the sacrifices of those who gave everything. Remember that before you laugh at someone's past, because you may be standing beside a hero. The screen fades to black. Thank you for watching. If this story touched you, please like, comment, and subscribe. Share it with someone who needs a reminder of the respect our veterans deserve. Music swells, emotional and cinematic, carrying the weight of the story as the final words appear on screen. Some tattoos fade. Some stories never do.